Welcome to Reframe, the podcast where we're redefining what's possible, one mindset shift at a time. I'm Jess, your guide on this journey to help you to rewrite your story and transform from the inside out. Let's dive into how small changes in the way you think can lead to big changes in the way you live. Today's episode is going to be short and sweet, and that's one of my biggest aims with this podcast because what I found that I struggle with most when I listen to a long podcast episode is that I'll love it and I'll have loads of takeaways, but I'm pausing it constantly to make notes. And then I have so many notes that I want to implement that I get overwhelmed and I don't implement any of it. So I'll always try and keep these episodes not only bite-sized, but also very focused. So if there is something that I say that sparks your interest, you can give it your time to implement it, to see how it manifests in your reality, and to take action, to reframe. So today I'm going to share a really simple technique that I use almost monthly. In fact, probably more than that. It's great for goal setting. It's great for checking in with your progress and shifting your perspective on where you're at. And it's called the Wheel of Life. Now, you may have heard of this already and you may already use it, but I'd encourage you to still listen because often the things that I've learned, even if it was like years ago, when I'm reminded of them in a new season of life, I get so excited by them. And it's really easy to be like, I know this, I've already learned this, I don't need to hear it again. But actually hearing it in someone else's words may just hit differently and give you different perspectives and ideas of how to use it. And I'm a big believer in always being a learner and never believing that I know enough, or God forbid that I know too much about a subject. I'm always listening as if I'm a beginner. I take notes all the time. Whenever I have a special guest come into the Heal to Reveal community, I'm there taking notes. I'm never too proud to be a learner because facts are facts, right? There's nothing new. Like, this Wheel of Life is not new. I've not created it, but my perspective of it, my experience using it, that's unique. And that might just be the thing that resonates with you in a different way. And please take this mindset about always being a learner away with you. And I promise you'll start learning so much more and you won't cut yourself off to new ideas because you've already heard about it. Okay, so the Wheel of Life, it's a really cool overview tool. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes to a copy of a Wheel of Life that you can download and you can use. It's free. You'll just need to pop your email address in, but I promise I'm not going to spam you. Or you can just draw your own one. So I'll describe to you now how you can draw one, but the downloadable will be in the show notes all the time if you want to use it. So in your journal, bonus points if it's a journal club journal. Did you know that I do journal club journals? If not, there's a link in the show notes. I have a range of journals. But anyway, it can just be on a plain bit of paper, lined bit of paper in a journal. It doesn't matter. Draw a circle to fit the page. Make it quite a big one. And then you're going to draw a line from the top to the bottom to separate it into half. And then from left to right to separate it into quarters, and then diagonally. So top left to bottom right to bottom left. So you will have 8 sections. It will kind of look like a pie. And each of these sections is going to represent an area of your life. Now, I will usually separate these into 1, love and romance, 2, family and friends, 3, money, 4, business or job. So it doesn't matter if you're self-employed, if you're employed. 5, physical health. 6, mental health. 7, spirituality or religion. 8, travel. It could be fun. It could be sense of community. You can always do it into 10 sections. I just find that 8 is easier to draw equally. But you can pick and choose. If perhaps you don't work, then you don't need to do the business or job one, and you might have travel and fun. If travel isn't an area of your life that kind of you want to work on or is a big area of your life, then You might do community and business. So pick and choose which ones are relevant to you. You can completely tailor it. You could even do a specific one. So for example, health. You could do a whole wheel of life on health, and the sections might be nutrition, strength, sleep, supplements, toxin exposure, cardiovascular health, flexibility, fresh air. Those could be the areas for that one. But to start with, for this one, do the main areas, the love, the family, the money, physical health, etc. And for each of those sections, you're going to give it a rating from 1 to 10. So in the middle, where all the lines cross over, the middle of the circle, pop a 0. And then equally distance out from the middle to the outside, you're going to write 1 to 10, with 10 being on the outside. Now, you could just write this for one line and then just use that to kind of gauge where that rating is for all of the other sections or segments, or you could write 1 to 10 on each of the lines. It's completely up to you. But remember, if you need a visual, you can download the Wheel of Life from the show notes. So here's the important part, and this is really important because otherwise this Wheel of Life, it's not going to work in the way that it's intended. You're going to rate each area based on how satisfied you are, not the perceived success in that area. So 10K in the bank may be perceived as success in the money section, but if you feel anxious every time you spend money, if you feel triggered every time someone gives you money, or when it comes to talking to your boss about a pay rise or charging for your services, that is not satisfaction. And also, success is subjective. So it may be that someone says to you, having 10K in the bank, having a high responsibility job, having a partner, having a mortgage, maybe you running 3 times a week or going to the gym 5 times a week, having a busy social life, that all of those things are success. But if you are not happy with what you have, with what you're doing, that is not success. That's other people's version of success. That's society's perspective or perception of success. And it's not to say that those things aren't an achievement or something to be proud of or something to be grateful for, but the aim with this exercise is to have a life that you love, that you're happy about, that you're grateful for, that you are proud of. Okay, that's the aim. You could be single, have £2 to your name, no job, but be so happy. So you'd rate those areas like an 8, 9, 10. You could have a partner, 10K in the bank, an amazing, a busy or high responsibility job, a busy social life, but you could rate those areas a 2 because you're not happy. Okay, success is subjective. So we're working on satisfaction, but also having the perspective that satisfaction is success. If you are satisfied in those areas, if you are happy, if you feel proud, if you're grateful for those areas, that sounds like success to me. So the best thing is to take your time with each one, but don't overthink them. So we'll start with the first one, and you can do this in real time. In fact, you're going to need to either pause this because I'm not going to give you breaks to do them, but you could do it and kind of pause this or wait until you've listened to this whole episode and then do it. So you're going to think of the first one. It doesn't matter which order, either the first one that comes to mind or the first one you look at. Think of that area of life. You could close your eyes and visualize it. Or if, like me, I have aphantasia, so I can't visualize things, but I can imagine them. Vividly imagine them. And that might be imagining in your mind. It might be imagining the feeling of them, the words of them, the sounds, the smells. There are so many ways that you can imagine without seeing. So imagine this area. It might be scenarios, interactions, kind of pictures of things. Really get into the energy of it and then give it a score from 1 to 10 on how satisfied you are in that area. Some prompts to help would be, does this feel good? How satisfied am I in this? How happy does this area make me feel? Is this how I want this area of my life to be? And once you've come up with a score, again, don't overthink it. Draw a line across that segment of that area. And then you're going to repeat that for each area. So in the end, each segment of that wheel is going to have a line across it. Now, you may have a tiny wheel. If maybe they've all been scored a 1 or a 2, you may have a big wheel. If they've all been scored 8 or 9, it may be that they all have the exact same rating. But the likelihood is that you're going to have a very wonky wheel. I know for me, the first time that I did this, and especially if I haven't done this for a while, those segments are really, really varied. I'll have some 1s, some 3s, some 5s, some 7s. And, if I'm lucky, maybe some 9s and a 10. But if you had all 10s, you probably wouldn't be listening to this episode. Okay, and if you have lots of 1s and 2s, give yourself grace because you're taking a huge step to grow those. And we don't really make changes unless we want more, unless we're not feeling satisfied. So even though it may not feel good to look at this and see, wow, there's loads of low scores, that's how you're going to get the high scores, from the awareness of that. So this is the first step, which is amazing. You're doing something about it. And it's important to note as well that all of these scores can go up by making 1% physical shifts or big physical shifts, but also by making mindset shifts, just by perceiving those areas differently. A lot of the time when my scores have gone up, it's not necessarily because I've physically changed anything. It's usually because I've released a limiting belief that's been enabling me to see those areas as a low score. So I didn't need to do anything but shift my perspective, which is still, it's still a big thing to do. So following this, you can dive into each section. So you may look at this wheel and instantly see why each one has the score that they have and what you need to do, in which case, you go girl, go and get it done. Start working on growing those scores. If not, then on the next page or underneath the wheel of life, for each one, write the name of the area and the score next to it. And then underneath, ask yourself why. So the prompt could be, I gave this a 3 because, I gave this a 7 because. Just a few lines, just to give it an overview, but also to dive deeper than the wheel. So this is your awareness part. And then we're going to go deeper into accountability. So if you've listened to my other podcast episodes, you'll know I have the signature process, the ARA process, which is awareness, accountability, reframes, and action. That is how we make changes and we elevate our life. So we're going to go into accountability. What is keeping this area of life at a score of 3, 4, whatever the score might be? And remember, if you have a high score, it's really amazing to note these down. What's keeping this at a 7? What's keeping this at as an 8, a 9? Because success leaves clues. So we're not just looking at here, okay, what if I scored a low score? And why? Where am I messing up? Where am I making mistakes? What am I doing wrong? That's not what we're doing here. We're looking at, okay, what can I change? What isn't serving me? What isn't working for me? But we're also looking at, wow, what is working for me? What am I doing right? What am I doing that I could then, implement in other areas as well? Where can I learn from myself? Because you have all of the answers within you. All the work that we're doing here is just eliciting those answers with different questions and different perspective shifts and different journal prompts. But you have those answers within you. So what is keeping this at this score? And it could be that that's, a belief, a thought, a habit, a relationship, an environment that you're in. And why am I choosing this? Okay, this belief, this habit, this relationship, this environment, what's it giving me? And there's no shame here. It's always giving you something or you wouldn't be doing it. Okay, even the things that make us feel so uncomfortable and we know are not serving us, the smoking, it's not serving you because it's unhealthy, it's bad for you, but it's giving you something. It's giving you relief, it's giving you comfort, it's giving you distraction. So looking at that, what's it giving you? And then for the reframe, what would make this a 9 or a 10? If it's already a 10, then great. But if it's a lower score, what would make this a 9? What would make this a 10? What kind of beliefs, thoughts, habits, or tangible things it might be, a certain amount of money, a person, a job change, a physical health change. And then lastly, how can I get there? That's the action. Okay, what can I actually do to make that change? And if you haven't listened to the 1% effect episode, which was the last podcast episode that I did, go and listen to that, because that will help you with the 1% shifts that you can make. And actually, this would have probably been a better episode to record before that one, because this is helping you to see the areas you want to change. But that episode is really giving you the how. So this is a really amazing tool, and I love doing it. Like I said, almost monthly. I actually did a health one this morning, but it was only 4 sections. So I did the 4 pillars of health: physical health, emotional health, financial health, and relational health. And it was so, so powerful, because I really saw that those 4 areas, when one of them is scored quite low, that has an impact on the other ones. And when they're all working on a high score, they're working really well together. So that was a nice one to do as well. So I would love to know if you've ever done a Wheel of Life before. If you do one after this episode, please let me know how you got on. If you feel happy sending me a picture of your one, then please do. And of course, if you want to go deeper on this, on the belief work, on the ARA process, then please jump in Heal to Reveal, because that's where we really go deep on belief work, on reframing your mindset, and not only through the mindset tools and the perspective shifts, but we do a lot of nervous system regulation as well. So really focusing on the mind and body connection, which is just so, so important. So thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to hear what you think. Don't forget, you can download that Wheel of Life document in the show notes, and I'll catch you on the next episode.